and welcome to the Glassbreaker Summit 2020. I'm Denise Kagler. Our series of one-on-one conversations continues with this guest, one of the hardest working people on the planet, Allyce Najimy. Allyce is the CEO and Executive Director of the Foundation to be named later. Named after the Major League Baseball trade term player to be named later, the foundation was launched 12 years ago by Theo Epstein, president of baseball operations for the Chicago Cubs, and his twin brother, Paul. The foundation supports youth and families from disadvantaged neighborhoods and helps send deserving young people to college through a program started by Allyce. Allyce is also an adjunct professor at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and serves as a trustee of Beacon Academy, the Institute for Sport and Social Justice, the New England Sports Museum, and the Massachusetts Cultural Council. Allyce has spent the past 2.5 decades working in sports, higher education, and community service organizations, including City Year and the Center for the Study of Sport and Society at Northeastern University in Boston, where she also served as its COO. Allyce is the first CEO of the foundation to be named later and one of the few female CEOs in sports philanthropy, making her a true glass breaker. Welcome, Allyce, to the Glassbreaker Summit 2020. Thanks so much for being here.
Denise, hi. Thank you for inviting me. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. Anytime Denise does something, it's always pretty amazing, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Uh,
I was just listening to the introduction, and 2.5 decades sounds so long. My gosh.
well, listen, you wear it well, and your impact is felt broadly, not just obviously in Boston, but in Chicago and other places around the country. So, speaking of your impact, so let's talk about Allyce Najimy. So, tell us more about you and about your role as CEO of the foundation to be named later.
Oh, thanks, Denise. Yeah, so I grew up in Pittsfield, Mass, and that is at the other end of the state, about 2.5 hours from Boston. And I grew up with the best mom and the best dad in a beautiful place called Berkshire County. And our whole life in the summer, my dad was an educator, and he would take us to Boston in the summers, and we'd go to Boston Red Sox games. And he taught us to love baseball, but also love inclusion and diversity. He had friends from all over the world, and they'd come to our house for Sunday dinners, people from all walks of life. And my mom was amazing. She gave me my ethic of volunteering. She volunteered throughout her whole childhood. She'd dedicate hours without getting paid for causes that were really close to her heart and things she cared about. So my dad taught us how important an education is, and and my mom taught us about giving back. And so somehow in my career, I've melded all of that stuff together, and I've been able to, I went to college at Assumption in Worcester. I got my master's in education at UMass Boston. And I've been able to not just work in a job, but work in my dream jobs for a very long time, doing my life's work, which is helping others and really promoting education and service.
Wow, that is a terrific story. Thanks for sharing that story and that insight into Allyce Najimy. Speaking of insight, so you are the CEO of a very visible organization that was founded by a very visible sports executive. I know
Mhm.
you're busy. People who know you know you're busy.
Oh,
What
yeah.
what keeps you at the top of your game?
Oh, good question, Denise. Thank you. Well, I actually do love sports, and it really is about, we're a mission-driven, values-based organization, and we just use sports to be able to fulfill our mission. And so our values and our mission are really what keeps me going every day. And our mission is to help and serve youth and families that come from disadvantaged neighborhoods. And we get to work with incredibly innovative, creative, special nonprofits that work on the front lines with these kids and families. And we also get to work with our scholars. We have 170 Peter Gammons College scholars around the country, and we get to work really closely with them. We keep them together in our network. So we don't just give a scholarship, see you later, but it's actually an investment in the kids. We get to know them, their families, they each get a mentor. We try to stick with them for 4 years, not just to make sure they graduate college, but to make sure that they go on and get jobs and dream jobs. So we support them along the way, and really knowing these kids and families are what keeps me going every day. While also seeing the love and the commitment from the people in the world of sports. Whenever we ask anyone to do anything, the answer is always yes. How can I help? Everyone that helps us donates their time and their talent, whether they're playing a concert for us on stage or they're doing a baseball talk with us about to raise money for our scholarships, or they're sponsors who jump in to give us money and support us, or they are venues that donate their restaurants or their hotels or their concert venues free of charge. And that really, really is what keeps me going, is the generosity and the big hearts of all the people who help us.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I have seen that.
Yes.
A big part of the work I do with clients centers around branding.
Mm.
And I know you and I have known each other for a long time. And when we're at meetings and people go around the room, meetings that you organize, and we
Mhm.
go around the room and we have to introduce ourselves, people introduce themselves, the one common phrase that comes out of their mouths is, "I'm here because of Allyce." I'm here because of Allyce. I mean, people love, love, love volunteering for you. What is it about Allyce Najimy that pulls that spirit out of people?
Oh, Denise, thank you. Well, we're going to have to ask some of those people, but I would say I have a couple key things that I really believe in, and it's really about communicating with people, involving people, and appreciating people. I call it my CIA. So when you communicate with other people about what you're doing and what you need help with, and it's real and authentic, and they say, how can you get involved? Then your responsibility is to involve them. And that's what I try to do, is say, well, what would you like to do? Would you like to mentor? Would you like to volunteer and sign people up? Would you like to sell raffle tickets? Would you like to be, on our committee? Would you like to sponsor us and be able to bring a lot of your fellow employees or friends in? And then appreciate people. I mean, Denise, you have the biggest heart too, and you do so much for me and for the foundation, to be named later. And people need to feel appreciated, because you're giving your time and your talent, and you're not getting paid, but you are getting a currency in a different way. It's not money, but it's appreciation, and it's feeling like you can make a difference. And so I really believe in CIA, which is communicate, involve, and appreciate.
Hmm. And something else that you clearly do well is that you understand your impact on people. You understand the importance of understanding the way that you're reacting or interacting with people, and understanding how people are reacting to you. As part of that process, I talk a lot about self-reflection, getting
Mm.
feedback, understanding who you are, understanding your impact on other people. So talk to us a little bit about the importance, and I do see it as a leadership skill, and perhaps you can speak to that, the importance of especially women reflecting and understanding how they're impacting other people. Do women do that enough? Do we self-reflect enough?
Denise. In general, I don't think we do. And you're right. It's so important to self-reflect and to take time. Like you even said earlier, I'm busy all the time. You're busy all the time. And moms, women that are moms, women that are heads of households, women that are working, sometimes you put yourself last, and that's not okay. You have to stop and slow down and reflect, and you have to actually be open to feedback. And I feel like feedback's a gift. People shouldn't look at feedback as a negative thing. Feedback has always been a gift to me. And if you take it as a gift, you're going to get a lot out of it. One way I think I keep my sanity is get out and either walk or run. And during that time, I think about myself and I think about what's happening and I think about what I have to do, or I think about somebody else, or I think about things that I can't think about when I'm at my desk and I'm powering through a list of to-dos that never end.
Yeah, yeah. I know your list of to-dos must be a mile long, but I'm sure it feels good to check them off. But then knowing
Yeah,
you just keep adding
I
more,
do that.
more and more to that list. So this is a good time for us to take a quick break. I want to introduce folks to a new program that I'm going to be launching soon, an online career development program. So we are going to be back in 30 seconds with more of my conversation with Allyce Najimy, the CEO and Executive Director of the Foundation to be named later. So come back in 30 seconds. Until then, you are watching the Glassbreaker Summit 2020. Receiving feedback is never easy. Analyzing your character can be even more challenging, but each represents a leadership skill and step toward the glass ceiling. Mainstream to top tier is a 5-step formula that can help you receive, reflect, analyze, and recognize what it will take for you to stand out and break through. Open up to up level. Visit mainstreamtotoptier.com to learn more. Welcome back. So let's continue our conversation. I want to get from you some advice to help women who might be thinking about a career in sports. What kind of advice, or share your, I guess, best piece of advice for women who are looking to either switch careers and land in sports, or just starting their careers and thinking about sports?
Yeah, no, that's something I'm passionate about. I have a couple key things I think can work. One is, and Denise, you're a big part of this. I'm one of the founders of the UMass Boston Sports Leadership and Administration Program, which is for young people who want to get into the field of sports. And we have a very special slant on leadership. So we're teaching leadership skills so that you can lead from wherever you enter sports. You usually have to enter in a entrance level position, but as you rise up, there's leadership opportunities in every place that you're in. And what I teach the students there is it's all about your networks. And you are a big part of our network and our sports leadership network. I have an amazing network of people, and I never would be where I was without my network. And you have to, I think, 3 things. 1, believe it's possible. Open it up, open yourself to it and set a goal and say, I want to be working in sports, whatever that is. There's so many different careers. You could just pick. If you're an accountant now, you could still work in sports with your accountant skills. If you're a lawyer, you can work in sports with your law skills. If you run a nonprofit, you can work in sports with your nonprofit skills. So just think about it as open to you and believe you can do it. Put it out there and believe you can do it, and then network. So find the places where people are gathering from the industry. There's a lot of sports industry things. There's a lot of free networking events. There's a lot of small money networking events. There's online places you could be. LinkedIn has some sports connections. And you're not just gonna go and all of a sudden be the president of the Chicago Cubs like Theo. Theo started as an intern. It's the perfect situation. He was an intern. He literally had to read through media guides and pull out statistics. That was his job, his stacks of media guides. Now he's the president of one of the most successful baseball franchises. And he also was the GM of another successful one, the Boston Red Sox. So Theo worked really hard. And that's another piece of advice. Work really hard. I work really hard. You work really hard, Denise. But set your intentions out there, have a great network, and work really hard. Don't be the first one to go home. Don't be the last one to get to the office. Just roll up your sleeves, do what you got to do, work hard, and bring other people along with you.
I cannot agree with you more. And yes, as I said in my intro of you, you are absolutely one of the hardest working people on the planet. And everyone who knows you sees that. So you touched on how hard people work, how hard Theo works, you work. So we are obviously in the middle of a pandemic. There is a huge impact on the economy, on jobs. A lot of demographics are being impacted, people of color, women, lower level employees. What would you say to women in particular who, being uncertain about what's happening, either with their careers or with the world around them, who might be thinking about taking their foot off the accelerator? I know what I say, but what do you say to women who might be thinking about sort of, release or taking their foot off the accelerator or not pushing as hard to advance their careers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all a personal choice, but if you don't, the thing to know is people really care about you. And you need to find the people in your circle and in your life that really care about you. Surround yourself with great people and don't let your dreams die. Just because this will pass, the pandemic, and our society is going to get better because of all the people who are doing the right thing right now and raising the volume on the inequities in this country. Things are going to get better. Don't stop living your best life and your dreams right now, even though things are challenging and hard. There's so many movies out there about people who almost gave up and they never did, and they achieved even more than what they ever thought. So my whole thing is like, don't give up, even if it's really hard. Reach out to the people in your network and in your circle who care about you. If you don't have a mentor, find a mentor. Ask someone to be a mentor. I don't think there's like a more special ask than if you ask someone to mentor you. That is such an incredible honor for other people, even though you think it might be a burden. When someone asks me to mentor them, I'm completely honored. So I feel like there's a lot of women out there who would be honored to mentor any young woman or middle career woman or even senior career woman. So ask. You can't get it if you don't ask. And don't take your foot off the brake unless you need a break. Then it's okay to rest, rejuvenate, and come back when you're ready. But make sure you never stop believing that whatever you want is possible.
And you talk about mentors. I'm so glad you talk about that. You talked about that, mentors, because it is a popular topic. People don't know how to go about finding a mentor. I get asked, what should they do? And like you said, reach out and ask people. People are generally happy, genuinely happy and honored when they're asked to be a mentor.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. And if you don't know someone to ask your friends for help. Ask other people for help. If you actually don't have someone you can ask to mentor you, just ask other people for ideas and for help.
So on that note, quotes. So I love quotes. I know you love quotes. We're inspired and motivated by quotes, as I have said throughout this summit. I know you have a favorite quote, so please do share your quote with us.
Yes, I will. And my quote is from Jackie Robinson, who everyone hopefully knows. Jackie Robinson, history maker, barrier breaker in baseball, which is so appropriate for my career. He's actually a motivator to me and why I wanted to work in baseball. But Jackie Robinson has a very famous quote, and the quote goes like this: "A life is not important except the impact that it has on others." And it's kind of self-explanatory, so I'll leave you with that quote.
And what a great quote to leave us with. Thank you so much, Allyce Najimy, the CEO and Executive Director of the Foundation, to be named later. We so appreciate you and appreciate the time that you took to join us at the Glassbreakers Summit 2020.
Thank you, Denise. My pleasure. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Allyce. Thanks again. And to all of you, thank you for being here. I hope that you will join me live at 8 p.m. tomorrow in my Facebook group, Glass Breakers. I will be breaking down the conversation I just had with Allyce and answering your questions, not just about the conversation with Allyce, but also about my new online career development program, Mainstream to Top Tier. So I hope to see you live tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. in my Facebook group, Glass Breaker. Until then, be safe, be well. I'm Denise Kegler. Thanks so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon.